Hello and welcome to Next Time's Tax Podcast. We offer crisp, insightful episodes on emerging tax developments and how they may impact businesses across the globe through short interviews with our in-house experts. Today's episode focuses on RoDTEP Scheme, that is remission of duties and taxes on export products. An export scheme that Government of India announced in 2019 to boost exports by allowing reimbursements of taxes and duties which are not exempted or refunded under any other schemes. We have with us our indirect tax specialist, Saket Patawari, to delve deep into the scheme. Thank you, Saket, for joining us today.
Thank you, Jiten.
Well, to begin with, Saket, why this scheme?
For this, let's flip through the history pages. Somewhere in 2018, the United States challenged the export subsidies provided by India and alleged that these schemes actually violated the WTO, World Trade Organization's Subsidies and Countervailing Measures Agreement, which prohibits subsidies that are contingent upon export performances. Among various active schemes, MEIS, which is Merchant Exports from India scheme, was one of the schemes under inspection, as it provided incentives by way of percentage benefits of FOB value of exports. The WTO panel ruled in favor of the US, and therefore India had to withdraw the subsidies immediately. Now, with that subsidy gone, obviously India has appealed against the WTO's order. But concurrently, India thought maybe it is necessary that we have any alternative scheme so that the exporters don't remain high and dry. So RoDTEP Scheme came as a replacement for MEIS. So with this backdrop, MEIS scheme has been withdrawn with effect from 31st of December 2020, and RoDTEP has been implemented from 1st January 2021.
Interesting history, Saket. So you mentioned that MEIS fell short of being WTO compliant, and therefore, RoDTEP was introduced. So is RoDTEP WTO compliant?
See, MEIS was designed to provide or reward the exporters to offset the infrastructural inefficiencies and associated cost. So the benefit here was in that sense incentive or a subsidy, and therefore was held to be sinful. Whereas if you see the RoDTEP scheme, it is in that sense we can say as a conformity with WTO trade norms and global best practices. The RoDTEP scheme reimburses the embedded taxes and duties incurred by the exporters and does not provide subsidies or incentive. Now, the major embedded taxes and duties which are incurred by the exporters which are not rebated or unrebated ones are VAT on petroleum, coal cess, mandi tax, electricity duties on fuels, etc. and fuels, which are currently not refunded under any other mechanism, but are incurred by the manufacturers in their process. So therefore, RoDTEP gives a rebate of this. So therefore, it can be said to be not different, or it can be said to be different than MEIS scheme, which provided incentive or subsidy. Now, in fact, the government or the Ministry of Commerce have gone a step ahead, and to have relevant backups with them, they had invited product-wise information from all the manufacturing units through the trade councils or the associations, Trade Export Promotion Council or the trade associations. And this data was studied by the government, and then basis that percentage ceiling rebate rates were finalized for each of the sector. So, in a nutshell, the present scheme, which have been making rounds since 2019 in international press, has not attracted any major resistance or debates from any of the WTO member nations. Yes, Washington has posed some questions to New Delhi on few agricultural products, which can be considered to be, business as usual.
Interesting, Saket. So tell us which industries would be eligible to claim RoDTEP benefit, or rather which industries have been specifically excluded from this criteria. Also, Saket, Do you feel that if any sectors are currently not included, the government still can give them a wildcard entry somehow?
So, see this, while the scheme got announced in January or was effective from January 2021, it still did not have still the actual sectors were not announced. It was only in the month of August that government notified a list of eligible products and the corresponding rates under the scheme. Now, there are 8,555 tariff line items which are covered under the scheme. While most of the industries are covered under the list, maybe 3 industries which are left out here are steel, chemical and pharmaceutical. So they can be said to have been shown a yellow card. Further, other than this, there are units like SEZ units, EOU units, free trade zones are also in the excluded category. Also, the schemes of the foreign trade policy where they have to discharge export obligation and then an incentive is given, such as advance authorization, duty-free import authorization, are kept under review as well and will be decided based on the recommendations by the RoDTEP committee. Apart from all this, there is an ineligible categories that are expressly excluded from the scheme, like deemed export, restricted or prohibited products export, or exports from non-EDI ports, which are not electronically digitalized ports, are excluded from this category. Coming to your next question, that is whether, if there is any scope, whether the benefits can be given or someone else can be given a wildcard entry. Let me just take you to, see, currently we are into a pandemic. Still the pandemic is not gone. And while the economy is gaining pace, definitely we are hit by the past 16-17 months over the lower revenues for the authorities and higher spending on the relief measures. While the Honorable Commerce Minister Mr. Piyush Goyal honestly stated that steel, pharmaceutical and chemical are out because of the budgetary constraints, that they did not have the adequate budgets. But nonetheless, on a positive note, he did mention that this can be reviewed in case, things turn up or if they have the budgets. So, in your words, yes, wildcard entries are being considered.
Great, Take. So, that's surely helpful for excluded categories for, deciding a way forward. Moving ahead, to the crucial aspect, what are the benefits under RoDTEP scheme?
So the RoDTEP scheme, the benefits are announced on 17th of August 2021. The rebate rate falls around 0.01% to 4.3% of the FOB value of exports, subject to the value cap per unit notified in the notification alongside. The rebate would be in the form of duty credit scrips, which will be issued in electronic credit ledger of the customs portal, that is IceGate. These scrips can be used as e-cash while paying customs duty on importation of any goods into India. Further, the scheme is implemented on a completely IT-enabled platform with an end-to-end digitization. This should save time both for exporters as well as the authorities in ensuring giving the benefit. So it is maybe within few clicks that the benefit can be allowed or available for the exporters. The two conditions that we now see on this is to declare the intent to claim this export or RoDTEP rebate in the shipping bills filed with effect from 1st January 2021, and that the sale proceeds should be received within the time prescribed by RBI, which is within 9 to 15 months or as may be extended. If not, then the benefit shall expire. The earlier issued draft suggests that these scripts shall be freely transferable, like the MEIS one. However, this part still needs some clarification, whether indeed it would be or not. But it should be.
So, Saket, if we weigh the predecessor MEIS with RoDTEP scheme on two sides of equilibrium, what will your take be on the same?
Well, the MEIS benefit granted to exporter was in the range of 2 to 7%, whereas the rebate rate in a RoDTEP is in the range of 0.01 to 4%. There can be two primary reasons for this. One, I would say that it will be unjust to compare both MEIS and RoDTEP policy, as the objective of both these schemes are completely different. MEIS objective was to reward the exporter to offset the infrastructure inefficiencies, whereas RoDTEP scheme is to provide them or rebate them the taxes embedded in the inward procurement which are used in the exports. So when there is a basic fundamental difference between the two schemes, obviously output has to be different. Having said this, exporters or if any industry feels that there is a big gap in actually embedded tax vis-a-vis the RoDTEP rates issued, they should approach the RoDTEP committee with appropriate representation and the workings so that the rates can be revised. Now the second reason I observe for reduced RoDTEP rate is of course the budgetary limit I said some time ago. It has been clarified that the scheme shall operate on a budgetary framework for each financial year. Now depending on the overall budget outlay and the projected remission of the scheme, the ceiling rates will be determined. If required, necessary calibrations and revision will be carried out at the beginning of each financial year to meet the budgetary limits. So it looks like budgetary constraint can be the reason for lower rates. Currently, a budget of 2,568 crores has been set aside for exports made in the fourth quarter of 2021 and rupees 12,454 crores for exports made in financial year 21-22.
Well, Saket, so that answers my question. Lastly, what would be your concluding remarks on the RoDTEP scheme?
See, with the notification or announcement of the RoDTEP rates, there is definitely a sense of relief to the exporters. They were quite anxious enough, because they were under the ambiguity whether after MEIS being discontinued at the end of 2020, what will happen to the exporters, and if the RoDTEP, what would be the rates, etc. Now there is some clarity in terms of what is the rate, what are the benefits, etc. But they still have to juggle and wait to receive the rebate benefit in their hands. See, the proof of the pudding lies in having it. So, as there are still many open points, such as manner of application, grant of claim on which clarification is yet to be issued, and these are must for a scheme to kickstart. So, operational aspects are still pending to be received or to be issued. We all wait with the sequel notification in this regard to activate the scheme. Now, India is aiming for a 13-digit export mark by financial year 28, and such schemes are a must for attaining this objective. I suspect that there ought to be people who may condemn the scheme and the benefits offered, but believe me, this is not the end. This is the first step towards the long journey of India being an export hub. With the constraints in the budget for the scheme, for the first couple of years, we are expecting that the authorities could act stringently in terms of documentation, classification, and eligibility under the scheme. However, proper guidance and consultation can tackle the issues proactively and benefits can be received.
Great, Saket. Saket, thank you so much for spending time with us and shedding light on this various aspect of this RoDTEP scheme. I'm sure our listeners will find the information insightful too. Thank you everyone for listening in. If you have any questions on this subject or have suggestions for future topics, write to us at thinknext@nexttime.com.
Thank you.